What is going on, guys? It's Kai Saunders, aka Saundesi, and today I'm going to teach you one of my favorite tricks, and that is an over 50. So when doing an over 50, there are some required tricks that I think you have to have down pat, and they are general board slides, 50-50s on rails, and back lips, because that's going to act as you like jumping over the rail. So for anyone that doesn't know what an over 50 is, it's basically a harder version of a 50. So a 50 is just hopping next to the rail like that, and what an over 50 is, it's in the name. You hop over the rail into the 50-50. Now, when attempting this trick, I would say it almost feels like you're doing a rail hop. And that's one thing that I'll say you guys should practice to learn this. But it's almost like doing a rail hop and adding some lean to land into the 50-50. So a lot of the lean comes from the wrists as well, and just being confident and trusting the 50-50. So the warm-up tricks are pretty much like the tricks that I said you would want down pat before doing this. So you want to warm up with a board slide, of course. You want to hit a few 50-50s. We'll chuck in a rail hop in there, all right? You want to rail hop the rail just to get the feel of hopping overwards and hit a few lips, and then you're ready for the over 50. All right, so when approaching this trick, I like to ride really next to the rail, but obviously not right in front of it or completely next to it. You want some room to hop over, but I like to come basically the same point as a 50-50. So you come next to the rail for a 50-50, but now what I want you to do is practice the rail hop a little bit, which is pretty much doing the trick at that point. And then when it comes down to actually committing for the over 50, you want to ride next to the rail, okay, as close as possible without being too close. You hop over. Once you practice the rail hops, you've got the feel, and then you hop. And once you're about here, you lean with your wrists. So you add some lean with your wrists, which is going to allow you to get onto a better over 50. Because if you don't lean with the wrists, you're just going to end up not being on top. You're going to end up just doing like a little chink 50 and not being able to hold it. So that's like the approach that you would want. All right, so now once you've followed those steps and you have landed in the over 50 and you've gotten confident with it, you will be a little leaned initially when landing in this 50. But if you squat down a little bit, like any 50, you'll be able to control it a little better. And the reason why I lean into it is so if you're doing it on a long rail, you're going to want to be on top of the rail. And then when you squat, you can counterbalance and figure out where your body weight needs to be to not fall off the rail, okay? So if your scooter's this way, typically, you're going to want to be a little to this way for it to counterbalance and you to be able to squat and figure the grind out. But that's how you actually do like the whole rail. Now, for actually landing this trick, it's quite straightforward, okay? Easier than a board to land, or easier than a hanger even, all right? Because you're already completely straight in the landing position. So if you have a nice bit of speed, you're going to come off the end of the rail. You just lift up with your bars a little bit so your wheel doesn't go down. So as long as you just lift up with your bars a little bit, you're going to be coming off the end of the rail perfectly fine. Common mistakes I would see people do with this trick is not adding in the right lean with the scooter, which is not going to allow you to sail the whole rail, okay? Which would look a little bit like this. If you don't lean with the scooter, you're going to come off very easily because you're just hopping to the other side, all right? That's why that lean really helps to hug the rail and allow you to keep going. So that's a good way to start, though. I wouldn't necessarily, it is a common mistake, but you have to start learning it that way at least. You're not going to straight away get the lean going, okay? That's like with some practice. And another error I would say is people, if you're not going fast enough and you're trying to just ride off the end of the rail, if you don't lift up with your bars, you're going to nose wheel. You're going to go off a nosy, okay? And you don't want to do that. If you have the right speed, you'll lift up really easily, but I do sometimes see people not lifting up enough and they just fall out of the 50. A trick tip that I would say, which really helped me with doing the over 50s, is definitely make sure that you're having the technique of that bar lean and you're also squatting nice in that 50-50, because that's all going to help to do the perfect over 50. Now, once you do learn this trick and you have it dialed, there's a lot of things you can learn from this, like combos, doing it on different rails, whatever the case may be. The possibilities are endless, okay? Just like the 50-50s. Once you're in the grind and you've learned it comfortably, it sets you up for any other combo. That's what I love about them. I would say the first combo that you're probably going to learn, besides just like a trick out of the over 50, so like a 2-grind combo, would be the over 50 to lip. I would definitely say that like lines up the easiest once you learn this trick. And that's it for the over 50 tutorial. Hope this helped you guys out at some point, and I definitely want you guys to all practice this. And if you end up landing it and learning it good, post it in the community so we can watch your attempts.